What is the most astounding fact you can share with us about the universe?
The most astounding fact.
The most astounding fact.
Is the knowledge that the atoms that comprise life on Earth, the atoms that make up the human body, are traceable to the crucibles that cooked light elements into heavy elements in their core under extreme temperatures and pressures. These stars, the high-mass ones among them, went unstable in their later years. They collapsed and then exploded, scattering their enriched guts across the galaxy. Guts made of carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, and all the fundamental ingredients of life itself. These ingredients become part of gas clouds that condense, collapse, form the next generation of solar systems, stars with orbiting planets. And those planets now have the ingredients for life itself. So that when I look up at the night sky, and I know that, yes, we are part of this universe, we are in this universe, but perhaps more important than both of those facts is that the universe is in us. When I reflect on that fact, I look up. Many people feel small because they're small and the universe is big, but I feel big because my atoms came from those stars. There's a level of connectivity. That's really what you want in life. You want to feel connected. You want to feel relevant. You want to feel like you're a participant in the goings-on of activities and events around you. That's precisely what we are, just by being alive.
Tuesday, the 2nd of September 2014. My name's Paul.
My name's Andy.
And this is our weekly hour or so spell. And I use the word spell on purpose. What a great opener that was.
Enjoyed
the
that.
most astounding fact.
Yeah.
How many people do you think will have actually understood why it's called the most astounding fact?
Not many.
Well, I don't know. I'm only saying, what did you get from that?
Yeah, it's us. We are it. We're made up of it.
But we're an exact copy of it.
Yeah.
And we do want the stars to circle around us, and we do want to be recognised for our own light.
We do.
Brilliant allegory. It's life itself.
It is.
And it's the one that we try and recreate here on Earth. Heaven on Earth.
Yeah.
Apparently there are people out there who say that's not how it is. There is such a thing as a free lunch. There is such a thing as a free ride. And this Earth should be shared between all of us, so we can all have a little bit and crack on. And the people who quote that all the people in the world can be fitted into Australia, and the whole of the world's empty. That's not going to work out, is it?
I wouldn't have thought so.
No, because Australia's only habitat. It's on the coast, isn't it?
It is, yes.
There's nothing in it. There's nothing worth having.
No, it's far too hot.
People live where they're most productive and successful. And the reason Australia's mostly empty.
Yeah,
is because there's nowhere to be productive or successful.
The bounty.
But you see what I mean? In the early days, we learnt all these things, didn't we? About these facts, these figures, these statistics. As you move along, you learn something else. And that little clip there might have made you feel small. Do you feel small?
I don't. Not anymore.
No, I don't feel small either. No. You've got an example of there was a time when we thought we were here to help people. There was a time when we thought the people who don't produce are worthy of our time.
Yes.
There was a time when we thought that there is another way. And now we realise that that's just brain exercise.
Yes.
There might be another way in virtual reality, but that's not the one we have to deal with. And today, I mean, we've talked about, we've said before that is there anybody you can think of who you'd be embarrassed or a little ashamed to speak to or look? And you said, no, not really. And you've had an example today of would you have felt like this a couple of years ago?
No.
Or would you have done? Would the magic of the white coat actually worked its magic on you?
It would.
Because it was 100 years ago, 120, 130 years ago, when they realised that if you tell somebody that they know stuff and stick them in a white coat, they'll actually kill people for you in the name of research.
Yeah, they would. And I wouldn't have felt worthy. I wouldn't. And the word worthy and worth.
Isn't this the very key to our understanding now?
Yeah.
There's lots of people say stand up for yourself, recognise your power, grab back your freedoms.
Take back your sovereignty.
Yeah, and they're all ball assing on Facebook. Like chasing the last news story and pretending somehow that they want you to like them for finding it.
And following somebody else.
Exactly. Well, they're just following
on their
They're just
word.
following the newshounds.
Yeah.
They are just the followers of the newshounds. Facebook for me now, I'm actually clicking unfollow on many, many, many of my so-called never met friends. Eventually what will be left on my Facebook is probably just half a dozen to a dozen people who post me things that I find of value.
Yeah.
These are lessons that we keep learning.
They are.
All along the way. Today, I mean, you're working for a guy who...
I am. I'm working for a guy and he's a doctor and he's doctorate in one of the universities. I won't say which one. And he's done a 3-year doctorate in arthritis. And I just engaged him in conversation on it as I was working away there, because he was stood around, he had time to kill, he was at home all day watching the workers. So as he was watching the workers, I was picking his brains. And
what you're saying here, he's on full pay, by the way.
He's on. Oh yeah,
he's on full pay. It's just today that he wasn't required for the day.
Didn't.
So he stopped at home on full pay. Well, eventually, once he traced the money trail back, it's either at big business expense or our expense.
Yeah, and he did equate that because he said he would be working till about 9 o'clock tomorrow evening. So he sort of unembarrassed himself by saying, I will be working tomorrow. But I actually embarrassed him today. And it was his own embarrassment because he actually admitted that he'd done a research into actually, how can I put it, lotterising the health service. And it was, if you're worthy enough within your job and what you're doing, and you've got arthritis, they will spend money on you and get you back to putting into the system.
So it's a bit like a military field hospital.
Yep.
If you can still fight, they'll fix you and
They'll
send you
fix
back
you
out.
And send you back. Yeah.
If you've no intention to fight,
if your fight's gone, and it's self-inflicted wound that you've probably shot yourself in the foot to get out of the battlefield.
Freeman movement.
Yeah. Then all they'll give you is a paracetamol, say go away, and you just got to keep. We'll control the pain.
The system's playing God, isn't it?
It certainly is.
Has it always played God?
Certainly has.
Are they just telling us now?
Yes.
Is there anything new?
No.
Are we just learning?
We are.
Isn't it time the revelation came? As long as they keep revealing it and we keep laying back and taking it, they'll keep coming.
Yeah.
The level of tyranny that we'll live under is exactly what we'll accept.
Yeah.
Now, this gentleman that you're talking about, he's very proud of himself.
He is.
3 years studying for his doctorate. And you asked him what did he learn after his 3 years? Yeah,
I said to him, what was your thesis at the end? What did you say that got you the job that you're in now? Because they obviously employed you on your basis of your thesis, and it was basically that he'd found a way of filtering out money NHS money that was worth spending on people, and money that wasn't worth spending on people. And
No.
it basically hinged on their
Value.
lifestyle.
Value.
And value, yeah. Lifestyle versus value. If their lifestyle was lots of McDonald's and they were a little bit obese and it made their ankles or whatever.
But that's what his research led him to
led him
believe
to
is true.
Yeah.
And we know that it's very easy to put these people on a very narrow-minded path because that's the path they're on.
Yeah.
They've chose to be special eyes.
Mm.
Okay? So they're not interested in anything else apart from their special is subject. Okay? So they're only looking for things that are in their field. Okay? And they don't see anything else that may be either side.
No.
So what I'm saying is that, and this is a well-known probability as well, because once you've been sent to research, and you're going to get a bit of paper at the end, the idea is two possible solutions here. One is that you come up with a solution that you were meant to
Yeah.
by the research that you were guided to look at.
Yes.
You were told to read this, watch this, learn this, repeat this on demand.
Yes.
And you come up with a conclusion that arthritis is genetic, hereditary, and we can concentrate very closely on trying to do things for those people. But there are other factors, and being overweight is one of them.
Yes.
Okay, so they've said that by the research method and the tools they give you to research, you're meant to conclude that, Sherlock, all on your own.
Yes.
When exactly they know what that should be the conclusion that you come up with. Now, you said to him, and are you investigating the food and the drink that we have access to? And he said, no.
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 It didn't cover any of that.
No. So I'm not saying food or drink does actually cause arthritis. I do know it's poor joints, I do know it's poor circulation, I do know it's hereditary. So we're not trying to divert people here.
Nope.
But the men in white coats, okay, the men in white coats, and by God, them psychologists would love to start wearing them, and I'm sure they will one day. I'm sure they will say that they are medically trained and able to prescribe about something that they can't test for, they've never been able to test for, and they never will be able to test for, but in their opinion, this is what you're having. And this is how we get paid. The medical system that we're in creates customers.
It does.
Not cures.
No.
This gentleman, I'm sure he's a very nice gentleman, he's 30-some years old.
He's in his 30s,
and let me tell you something about 30-some years old. They already know that the chance of him discovering something to change the prosthesis for arthritis is virtually zero. Because as a lecturer, as a professor, as a doctorate, okay, he'll be actually speaking to crowds of people much younger, who in essence want to emulate what he's doing. The universities exist quite simply to identify the young people that have the possible acumen to change things. But because the system can only make more of itself, all it makes is more of itself, which is why the copies keep coming. The system's designed to filter those that are interested into that classroom, and any genius that might exist, he's there to spot it,
To spot them, yeah.
to nurture it, and to evaluate it,
Take them on
to
one
sponsor
side.
it,
Yeah.
and then
Arm around the shoulder.
and then to put his arm around the shoulder and take all the credits for him spotting that solution.
Yeah.
Just like in every walk of life, just like our Facebook news spreaders, they somehow want to take somebody else's work, put it up there, and say, "Well done, me." It's a slightly tenuous link, but I'm finding Facebook is of no use to me at all now. Absolute no use to me at all. It's therefore a reference point for me to put stuff that I want to refer to in the show, and hardly ever do.
Yes.
Actually, amazes me that people feel the need to comment on my post. It's almost like you've gone into my filing cabinet and added a few of your own notes. Did I ask you to? And why do you feel you were able to? You see what I mean? But that's the level of privacy that we no longer even understand anymore.
No.
You know, my Facebook page is my Facebook page. And I have turned comments off before, and that's caused quite a bit of trouble. You know, why have you turned comments off? But it doesn't matter.
No.
I now find leaving the comments on is more fun. To see, you know, you just put something up.
Yeah.
And as long as you don't attach any challenge to it, the people who actually respond are those that feel challenged by it. And that's quite clever, really. I'm learning all the time, and I put the the zodiac figure, the zodiac sign that we have for Aquarius is a man emptying a bucket of water. And I thought it was very appropriate for the Ice Bucket Challenge.
Yes.
So I just put this little picture up there that says, we drown ourselves.
Yeah.
2 comments straight away. From people who thought somehow, I was challenging their belief system.
Yeah.
And I'm quite enjoying this method.
I saw them and I read them. Yeah.
I'm quite enjoying this method of people respond to what they feel challenged to because they're actually defending what they've done.
Yeah. And giving a different definition of it as well.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Except,
I mean, have your opinions.
It's not that, it's this.
Have your opinions, by all means, yeah. Try and be a gas bill with it, but have your opinions. Opinions are, in the value of information, opinions are of no value at all. No value at all. I'm enjoying it in that way, though. And when you were talking about, your doctorate friend there, I don't know how much you earn. It's not my business, and I'm not bothered how much he earns.
No.
But there's one thing for sure. There is one thing for sure. If you want to hold this system back and cap its ability, you've got to teach it what you want it to know, teach it what you want it to learn, and then teach it what you want it to remake.
Exactly.
And that's exactly what these systems do.
Yeah.
The new discoveries primarily are made by people who are outside that field. How many discoveries have you heard where we did this and this happened, and we didn't expect that to happen, but we think that might be useful to these people over here? Or we tried doing this and it didn't work out, but the result was exactly what we didn't think was going to happen. And now this result has happened, we wonder if it'll be useful to these people over there. In other words, the likelihood of the very science that's been studied, the likelihood of them finding something new within their field of study, the way that the system's set up, is zero. It's not likely to happen that way.
No.
The discoveries are made by people who are trying all sorts of experiments. Has that worked out in your life? I mean, how was your feelings towards teaching yourself, learning things that you feel of value? How has it changed over the past few years? What did this discovery do to you?
It made me want. I've searched for more. Once I'd got a taste of a little bit, I wanted more and more and more. I thought, and you're second guessing yourself all the time. They can't put that on there.
That's the early days, isn't it? That's the early days.
They can't put that on there for everybody to see. They're actually putting that in there about GMO products, and then you buy the books and you read the book that goes with it.
Then you find Parliament are having none of it. But even though they tell it's good for you, but they're having none of it. Then you find Monsanto and their staff don't touch the stuff.
No.
It's actually remarkably frightening how easy this is to discover, isn't it? And it's remarkably frightening how hard it is to share. Yeah.
And it is remarkable how they've marketed it so that it's financially viable. And I'm saying for the farmers, they love it, the farmers, because they get paid for a crop before it's even grown.
Now, but you do know, don't you, that the majority of people who listen to this have just had in their head, right? They've had this invisible line that I know's been in their head. Those farmers are going to regret doing this. And half the people have just thought that will be glad that those farmers have lost everything. And the other half will be trying to prevent them losing everything.
Yeah, because that's our food. That's the food production gone.
What are we? Because this is a self-discovery, isn't it? You can discover what you want about the money system, the politics, the religion, and the history, and you can argue all day about it. But the only person you really know, the only thing you actually know is you. But do you really know you? Do you really?
No, that's one of the things I found out, that I didn't know me. I knew the false. It was a false me, and a false friends to go along with it. It was then that the downer that takes you on.
That's awful, isn't it?
That descent, but the feeling in your stomach tells you, because when you go down on a roller coaster, that your stomach comes up, doesn't it?
It does,
and it gets. My stomach came into my mouth, and you're either going to be sick or you're going to enjoy the fall. Which one is it?
Good question. What's happening on Facebook?
Yeah.
Which is it, really?
Which is it?
Because I think there's both on there.
There is, yeah.
I think there's more people enjoying the fall Because socialism, as we've said before, if we can't all be rich, let's all be equally poor.
Yeah.
And I think what's on there is let's all be equally poor.
Yeah.
I really do.
The other thing that links in with that, I said to Mike, I said, the new university fees that have come in, which is £9,000, which tripled, didn't it? It tripled overnight.
Well, since 2010, it went from, was it 3,000 to 9,000?
To 9,000.
Yeah.
And I said, is it these new fees, has it put the people off?
No.
Are you seeing the numbers drop?
No.
And he says, no, we're not seeing the numbers drop, but what we are seeing is that the students are actually questioning what they're getting for the extra £6,000.
Good.
So exactly, that's what I thought. And Mike said, yeah, but that's good because they're demanding, they're demanding better services. They're seeing that the services they've got, that people got for 3,000, and now they're paying 9,000, are no different to the people that paid 3,000, which is good. Now that is, and that means that they're going to kick their butts and say, right, you're going to have to up your game. So, but the upping
in the bigger picture,
bigger
picture,
but the upping of the game is, as we've just been saying.
Is the teacher ever going to tell you more than he knows?
No,
he can't possibly do that.
No, because
is he going to tell you everything he knows? It's not really in his interest to do that.
No,
not really. A good teacher will teach you to learn more than him.
Yeah.
A good teacher will say, "I've had my opportunity, and this is as far as I've got. I pass the baton to you.
Yeah,
you take it." Further,
Yeah.
you push it forward, but the confines of research make sure that cannot be so.
No,
it cannot be so.
And that got me thinking. I didn't say it to him, but I've got me thinking about, as you said, that they don't. What would have blown my mind if he said, "Oh, and in those 3 years we found a cure for arthritis," and that would have blown. Well, wow, that hasn't come out, has it? But it hasn't. That isn't what he said. No, it was just a filtering process that they'd come up with of how to filter out good patients and the bad patients.
And because they are getting ever younger, and because they are paid by the system that requires the correct answer, they have no other thought process than to give the correct answer. You said he's just bought a house. He's bought a repossessed house.
Okay,
so well done to him. Let's not discuss why it's been repossessed. Doesn't matter.
No.
Okay, he's bought a house at a slight discount, which has allowed him to improve it and modernise it.
Has, yeah.
Who can knock people for doing that?
No, because I'm getting work out of it,
Exactly.
and so are other people.
So let's not go down that
I'm not
line.
going to go down that
Let's
one.
go down the line of he's 30-something, okay, and is he married?
He's just got married within the last 6 months.
And this is late for marriage. In our years, this is married late. You reckon they're going to have kids?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, but
no.
A late marriage like that leaves very little time.
Does.
I hope they do, because it's a life lived if you have, and it's a life lived without if you haven't. So I hope they do. What I'm trying to show here is today's modern professionals are so focused on career and money. Okay, and the two things only exist if they give the right answers.
Yes.
And subconsciously,
choice answers.
subconsciously, everybody does that. He will be required, just as teachers are today at all levels, to pass test after test after test.
Yeah.
And the teachers start to learn over time what the required answers are. It's a bit like a criminal being caught enough times knows what to say and what not to say. You might disagree with the system, but you do know disagreeing with the system is going to make sure that you don't get paid by the system. And because you've had an easy life, you work 20 hours a week, and the other 20 you pretend to work. And because you get lots of time off and lots of worship from the kids, you know, you're their hero. They all want to emulate what you're doing, and you know everything. They know nothing. It's a very nice status to be in. Who wants to give that up? Well, nobody.
No.
That's what you joined for. You joined the system because, let's be honest, that's what you wanted to do. Now, would we have ever joined the system? No. I tried it once. I worked for the Ministry of Defence. I've described it many times before. It was a big building full of little compartments. And my little part in the whole Ministry of Defence game was to codify part numbers, or match codification on part numbers. The answers to most of the questions that I was being sent was on the other side of the room. Okay, in another little area that was doing similar things.
Another compartment.
What was actually happening, and this is compartmentalisation to a bloody T, this. And this is in one building. There's no official secrets here, don't worry about it. I was receiving from British Aerospace, Air Italia, and a German firm called MBB, And they were sending me, on my little table, part numbers. And I had to actually say if I recognised that part number and could match it to a NATO stock number, NSN we called it. Okay, and we had files and files of that, the old-fashioned paper files, all full to whatever. And I had to look at this part number, okay, and I had to go to the relevant project, look in the book, and see if that part number had a NATO stock number. And if it didn't, I had to send back no number found. If it did, I had to match the number together and pass it on to the next table. I haven't a bloody clue what they did. Right? But the fast way to do this was to go over the other side of the room and look on the microfiche. Because obviously airplanes use lots of the same bolts, lots of the same washers, lots of the same screws. The part numbers were, the different parts were used for... What was happening was these plane makers, the Tornado plane makers, were wanting to reorder stock. Mm-hmm. So of course they were ordering screws and fuses and bulbs, but we just had part numbers. Mm. So they wanted to confirm the part number was the NATO stock number, and my job was to say, yeah, I've got it on file, or no, I don't know what it is, I'll pass it off. If I went across the other side of the room, more than half the time was the answer. I actually got into trouble for doing that. I got in trouble for going to the other side of the room and doing the work that the two tables in front of me were part of. Is that right, Joe? Or bloody did I get into trouble here?
You short-circuited the system.
I thought I was being more efficient. And no, I got into trouble for... I got into trouble, yep. I remember my phone rang once, and I think it was... I forget who phoned me up. It was someone from Cheltenham. Some company from Cheltenham. I forgot who it was, but we used to... I can't remember. This company from Cheltenham... What you know it is. You can remember this, can't you? They were from Cheltenham. That's where I met Joe. And this guy phoned me up, and I was only about 18 at the time. And this big I am phoned me up from Cheltenham. I was just a administrative assistant, mm-hmm. The lowest of the low, the one that went for the sandwiches at 10 o'clock. And this guy phoned me up and he was asking me all sorts of questions. And I was chatting away to him on the phone, and he was the head of this Cheltenham company. And he was chatting to me, and I had no idea who he was. And the head of our little section, Mike, whatever his name was, he was like looking over at me, and he didn't want me to talk to him because he should have been phoning him. But that's a good example of compartmentalisation within 10 feet, 20 feet of each other. I had no idea really what the two tables in front of me were doing, and I didn't care to know. I had no idea what them lot were doing over the other side of the room, and I didn't care to know. All I had to do was tick and post, open it, check it, put it back in the post, open it, check it, put it back in the post. We used to have flexi time. We'd start work as early as 7:45 in the morning, I think. Well, the post didn't come till 9:30. So there's an hour and 3/4 with nothing to do at all. Nothing at all. The post came about 9:30, 9:45. I remember the girl who brought it. She was lovely. Way out of my league, but she was lovely anyway. And, by about... obviously we have to have sandwiches and stuff at 10 o'clock. And that's a good hour or so. By the time you've been for the sandwiches, brought them all back, had your cup of coffee and that. You could pretty much guarantee every single day, without a shadow of doubt, your desk was clear by 12 o'clock. Now what am I going to do? Then we went to the club at lunchtime, right? Subsidised beer, played snooker. You'd have 3 or 4 beers at lunchtime, play bloody snooker, come back in about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm a little bit weary. And I can't remember how we filled the time in. I don't remember what we did because ours was all post-based. I do remember actually I used to get the old queries out and actually start filling the gaps in. I didn't wait for the inquiries to come. I just used to say, this part number's got no NSN next to it. 97BZ was the biggest project. I remember that. I know it's just the way it was filed. 97BZ was the biggest project. I don't know what the hell that was all about, but it was about some part of the airplane that needed all these bits. And I remember picking the folders out, and I used to just pick the folders out, go sit over the other side of the room with a microfiche, and just fill all the gaps in. And I got in trouble for doing that as well. Crazy, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
But that's a good example of compartmentalisation.
Yeah.
You walk into this room at your own risk, because it leads to the future. Not a future that will be, but one that might be. It has refinements, technological advances, and a more sophisticated approach to the destruction of human freedom. But like every one of the superstates that preceded it, it has one iron rule. Logic is an enemy and truth is a menace. This is Mr. Romney Wordsworth. He's a citizen of the state, but will soon have to be eliminated.
Wordsworth, Romney, field investigation finding obsolescence. Do you know why you're here, Mr. Wordsworth?
Yes, sir.
I'd ask you to speak up a little, if you will.
Yes, sir, I know why I'm here.
You've been under investigation, Mr. Wordsworth, for the mandatory period of 1 year and 11 months. You're found to be obsolete. The purpose of this hearing is to make a finding in the matter and make a sentence accordingly. Do you understand that?
I understand that.
Your occupation, Mr. Wordsworth?
A librarian, sir.
A what?
A librarian, sir.
I'm told you've had counsel and been given orientation, Mr. Wordsworth, but I'm still not sure in my own mind that you understand the purpose of this hearing. The field investigators in your sector have classified you as obsolete. This finding carries with it serious implications. Do you understand that, Mr. Wordsworth? Now I ask you again, your occupation?
I am a librarian, sir. That is my occupation. That is my profession. If you people choose to call that obsolete...
Request clarification of the term?
Yes, the term, Mr. Wordsworth, you people. You make reference to the state?
I make reference to the state.
And you persist in declaring your occupation as being that of a librarian. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Having to do with books.
Yes, sir. Books.
There is very little call for the services of a librarian. Case in point, a minister. A minister would tell us that his function is that of preaching the Word of God. And of course it follows that since the state has proven that there is no God, that would make the function of a minister somewhat academic as well.
There is a God.
You are in error, Mr. Wordsworth. There is no God. The state has proven that there is no God.
You cannot erase God with an edict.
You are obsolete, Mr. Wordsworth. You have no function, Mr. Wordsworth. You're an anachronism, like a ghost from another time.
I am nothing more than a reminder to you that you cannot destroy truth.
You're a bug, Mr. Wordsworth, a crawling insect, an ugly, misformed little creature who has no purpose here, no meaning.
I am a human being. I exist. And if I speak one thought aloud, that thought lives even after I'm shoveled into my grave.
Delusions, Mr. Wordsworth. Delusions. The Bible, poetry, essays of all kind, all of it an opiate to make you think you have a strength when you have no strength at all. You have nothing but spindly limbs and a dream, and the state has no use for your kind.
We've heard that a few times, haven't we?
Mm. You waste our time, Mr. Wordsworth, and you're not worth the waste.
What do you think about that? We haven't heard that for a year or two, have we? What do you think about that now? That's from the Twilight Zone. That's from probably the late 60s, early 70s. Anything changed? The state wanting to eradicate God.
They do.
Claiming that they can prove there isn't one when they can't. You see, those at the very top, the only way they get there is to believe in something more powerful than themselves. And it's easy to make people believe in that, as long as you tell those that you're talking to, tell them they have no power. Isn't that the basis of all control systems?
Yeah.
Isn't that exactly how it works? Smart people telling dumb people to follow.
Yeah.
Have we fallen for that in every walk of life?
Certainly have.
Do we admit it now?
I do. Yeah.
Is it a release? Is it a freedom?
It certainly is. Yeah. Yeah.
And can the state prove? Can the state prove there's no God?
No.
Of course, they bloody well can't. Do you believe in God?
I'm twixt and between, really.
How do you feel about good, though? See, if I say good be with you, not God be with you, because the word is goodbye, and we're told the word goodbye is God be with you. Well, that'd be goodbye. But it's not, it's goodbye. So are we actually just being played into the good versus evil game all the time?
Yeah.
Are we actually being told that we're evil and they're good? Or are we transmitting the world in that we're good and everybody else is evil?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't this just the game that the churches have played with us?
Yeah.
The churches of the poisoned minds have done for a long time.
Exactly, the chosen ones. How many times have we heard that? Over different faiths and religions.
So the system copies as well.
Mm-hmm.
Easy to see, if you want to. Because that clip means nothing to me at all. Except confirmation.
Yes.
And confirmation to me is, it's just more of the same.
Yeah.
It's just how it was done on that occasion.
Yeah. And where do you go for confirmation?
Eventually inside your own head.
Yes.
Eventually you have to inside your own head.
Yeah. You don't have to go to a little booth.
We've talked about
on
all...
the other side of it.
We spoke earlier, didn't we, about our gurus that we followed over the years.
Mm-hmm.
And for reasons that don't matter to this, to this hour that we're doing here, I've had cause to go back and listen to them, and it's different. This time around, after 3 or 4 years, maybe sometimes 5 years ago, since I've heard them, I'll listen again. Some increase in their value to me, but the majority don't. They don't increase in value to me, because I see them for what they are now. It's just religion.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the forming of cult. And they occult. In other words, they reveal to you what has been hidden. And the ones that are the best at it ask you to pay for the service.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same system as always existed.
Of course it is, yeah. Yeah.
It's just that we've been fractured into so smaller groups now that we can be picked off by, the smallest army, really. We can be isolated and picked off. I mean, there are 64 million people in the UK, and I don't care to guess how many are actually studying and improving their lives by learning in the way that we have tried. But it's not 64 million. And the number of enforcers they have, or bullies as I usually call them, police, army, and all associated costume-wearing, licorice-all-sort coloured people, that number is relatively small, isn't it?
Yeah.
But because they've fractured us, fracking works in all levels, they've fractured us, that they can easily overpower any resistance, denomination by denomination.
Yeah.
I saw the proverbial, perennial Ike and Jones are shills, agents. They shouldn't be trusted. What have you come to the conclusion about them two now? Because Ike and Jones and Sarian really are probably the three major names that we all discover, along with Jordan Maxwell. There's probably some new names on the circuit now that I haven't really picked up on. But those are the 3 or 4 major names that we met along the way. What's your conclusion of that learning process? What have you concluded about those people? I mean, are they just performing the same service?
Yeah, and wanting to be paid for their service, asking for money, but people always say, "I've got something for you," and I don't want your money. I don't want your money. No, because all drug dealers, however it's done, your first few experiences are free. Yeah,
but there will be a price.
There will, yes.
There will be a price to pay, and for the amount of time and effort they've put in, they expect that sometime in the future, you're going to pay it.
You're going to, or you'll want to pay it because you want the next instalment.
Which is why we always say we don't want to be involved with radio stations that collect money.
No.
We don't want to be involved with anybody who sells things.
No.
And we don't want to be involved in any group that somehow censors what we want to say.
Yeah.
And we haven't actually experienced that, really. I'm not saying we have.
No,
but you said at the early part of this year, didn't you? You said, I don't want to do the show anymore.
I did, yeah.
And you told me your reasons why, but let's go back to that.
Yeah, it felt like it wasn't me anymore. It was the show, and this and we call it the Unpenned Show.
And I disagreed with you, didn't I?
Yes, you did. We had a few. I would have said a few days of heated debate.
Contemplation, really.
Yes.
I think. The debate went through over just one night, didn't it?
It did, yeah.
But we
yeah.
did think about it.
It went
And,
over a few days because
Yeah,
we did keep clashing over
But-
it and
I
thinking about
I
it.
wanted to be right, and in the end,
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't. Was I? I wasn't right. When you described to me why you wanted to change things,
Yeah.
it wasn't that you didn't want to stop the show.
No.
You wanted to stop the type of
The
show
type-
we were being led to do.
Yes.
And I never heard you, did I?
No.
Because
no,
I
it
do
was-
most of the talking. And I thought you were criticising me.
Mhm.
And you were right.
I w-
and I
I
didn't
wasn't.
like
I was
it.
criticising myself because
Yeah, but I heard it wrong, didn't I?
I have to try and practice what I preach.
But I heard it
And-
wrong.
Yeah. Mm.
And I was quite... bloody heck, I mean, the effort I put into it, and he's criticising me. I didn't hear it properly. And you were right, you know. You were right. That little chat box and what people were starting to expect from us.
Yes.
It was slightly changing what we were doing.
It was,
And
yes.
we promised it wouldn't.
Yes.
We promised it wouldn't.
We'd said when we set up that we would just sit here like where we're doing now,
Yeah.
and we would talk and we would discuss and we would share.
And we didn't care
No.
about who got what from it.
No.
We hoped there'd be something.
Yes.
But we weren't actually bothered.
No, we weren't fishing for it.
And you were right, you know.
Yeah.
You were right.
Yeah.
You were right.
And it felt wrong to me. We were.
But we were reacting to other people.
Yes.
And who were they to but in our conversations?
Mm-hmm.
And there were, weren't there?
Yeah.
And do you remember we were getting annoyed when people were...
Yeah, they were...
Why have they got this chat box up? Because they're not listening to us.
No, they weren't. No.
And then we were starting to change what we were doing.
And they were trying to sidetrack it through the...
Exactly.
Take it down the route they wanted to do.
And we thought that we had to do something about that. So we did.
Yeah.
Left them to it.
Left them to it, yeah.
We didn't learn that for a while. That if I have to thank you for something,
Yeah.
it's that you, of all the people that I know, you actually will say what you want.
Yeah.
And that's why I like you.
And do you know what I likened it to? I think I said it off air the other week. Was, and I'll say it now, is I felt that we needed the crowd. We need to follow the crowd. The safety in numbers, all these words that they use.
I know.
And then I likened it to we'd followed the crowd and we weren't liking what we were seeing. And we've said this, we were seeing broken people that didn't know how to fix themselves. And all they wanted to do was shout at the moon, bark at the moon, howling at the moon. And
Well,
it wasn't
since
gonna
when?
change a thing.
Since when is calling people sheeple and stupid
Exactly.
to the face? Since when has the people who've got nothing shouting at the people who've got something ever going to get attention?
No. It's
In
not.
fact, is aggression ever going to be the way that we do this?
No.
It's not, is it?
No.
Because you and I feel that we've actually achieved the best level of freedom that we can possibly achieve
Yeah.
at this time, and now we want to improve on
Yeah.
that. And what we've actually done in our heads, I think, is we've made foundations that we're happy with. We
Yeah.
don't think we're going to have to knock those foundations down and start again.
No.
Now, how much we're going to build from here is up to us and the time we can devote to our building.
Exactly.
But we know we've got the foundations in properly. And the foundations are quite simply, if you don't agree with somebody, that's fine.
Fine.
If you don't enjoy listening to somebody, you're not meant to be listening to that.
No. It's not for you.
What you're
at that
attracted
time.
to is what you're attracted to. And if you want to be happy and good at something, follow what you're happy listening to.
Yeah.
And the only way you can ever get the benefit of knowing stuff is sharing it back out.
Yeah.
Arguing for the truth is barking at the moon.
Yes.
Saying you've got it means you're trying to sell it.
Sell it, yeah.
Because it'll change tomorrow if some new information comes up.
Yeah.
All you really are is what's in your head. There's nothing else.
Nothing else.
That's
no.
all you really are. The rest is the costume, the character, and the drama you put yourself in. But nothing else.
The rest, no. And the other end of that, the other end of following the crowd and being in the crowd, and I was looking at, we'd been on, we went to the Bilderberger thing, didn't we? And protest and this, that, and it always involves big crowds of people, and that usually attracts trouble or some kind of confrontation.
But we now know, we now know without being told, that the crowds are always co-opted.
Yes.
The mask-wearing, ninja-looking, police-booted strangers who come and smash a few windows and make a blinging mess
Yeah.
have been the method of making us look violent.
Yeah.
And taking the headlines away from the real, the real reasons.
They're paid mercenaries, aren't they?
Of course
They're
they
there to. But the other end of the scale, then I looked at was the hermit, the retreat.
Yeah.
Is and as you said, going back into yourself and your own thoughts and talking to yourself, and this is where the system used to say to you, don't listen to him, he talks to himself, he's a nutter. And it
The
even
voices in your... If you can hear voices in your head, you need to come and speak to me.
do you know what? I'm not embarrassed to talk to myself during
No.
the day. And my customers say, are you talking to yourself? I say, yeah, I talk to myself quite a lot. And I says, the only problem I'll have is if I end up fighting myself. If I end up fighting, then I know I've got a problem.
You've had the fight, though. You've had the fight.
But
you've hit the bottom, haven't you?
I've hit the bottom,
You actually
yeah.
went so low.
Yeah.
You know, that's...
You've got to be reborn again. You've got to come out the other side.
But you've got to do it yourself.
You've got to die and
You've
be
got
reborn.
to,
yeah.
You've got to do it
You
yourself.
have. And it's nothing to do with reborn Christians.
No.
No.
The church has co-opted it.
It has.
The church knows exactly
They
this.
know exactly that.
Okay, because when you walk in that church, it is the matrix. It is the womb.
Yeah.
And you go past the font and you go up the aisle and the altar and the pulpit and then the cross and the vestry and the registration.
Yeah.
It's all there. And you come back out into the light
Yeah.
and there you are, sun down in front of you. You're looking at the sun, born again. It's a complete, perfect
It is.
counterfeit.
And in that religious thing, they tell you that the hermits or the what am I thinking of? The missionaries and we have one here, Saint Wilfrid. They usually became a saint, didn't they? And they went off into the retreat and they cut themselves off from the world. And all they wanted to do was their own thoughts and think about what they wanted to do. And everybody else was, what they're doing.
Yeah.
It was that interest. They'd gone away from the crowd, and suddenly the crowd wanting to know why are you by yourself? What are you doing by yourself? And they didn't want to speak to anybody. No, go away. I don't want to talk to you.
But we have to be subjected to this information. The arrangement in predetermined order.
Yeah.
So we look the same, sound the same, walk the same, talk the same, think the same, and dress the same. Yeah.
Me and you sat here in jeans tonight.
Information.
Yeah, we're just jeans,
Yeah, but the
t-shirts.
outside's not what we're talking about.
Not
is it?
anymore.
The
No.
outside doesn't matter anymore.
No, I wear these because it's what I have in my wardrobe to keep you warm.
But the outside doesn't matter.
No.
It does to everybody else.
Yes, and it did to me.
It did to all of us.
Used to do to me, but
now it doesn't matter.
No.
The outside's what you're comfortable with because the inside is the only thing you can grow now. Okay, we were over the top of the roller coaster hill. We're on the downhill slope.
Yeah.
But as above, so below. If we are in the descendants, then our spirits, hopefully, are in the ascendants.
Yes, should be.
Hopefully, we're growing ourselves. You know, we've realised now that we're into autumn.
Yeah.
And autumn's where you go to seed, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
You know that tree that's got a trunk, which you just like you have. Well, where's your tree of life? It's in your head, isn't it? Well, you're taught to be leaf.
Yes.
Join a branch.
Yeah.
Join whichever branch you want. Okay? And if you're with a number of leaves on that branch, you'll be leaves. Or beliefs. But eventually, you've got to let go of the branch and seed yourself. Because that's what you're growing now. This is autumn.
Yeah.
This is autumn. And you know you're going to die, but you have to plant the seed.
Yeah.
And ready for the next cycle.
You do.
Because each year is a birthday.
Yes.
That's the idea. Now, you think it's a celebration of your day you were born. And if you're okay with that, well, be okay with it. That's fine. But I don't think that's true. Because I think just like the rings in the trunk, I think every year should be marked with growth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Internal growth.
Yeah.
That's what I think, anyway.
Definitely. Yeah.
In the beginning was the Word. And you think to yourself, how do they change society? How do they actually change us? And we know it's through the dictionaries, don't we?
We do.
We know the word masters are witches and wizards who use spells. And the word's a number of spells, not a number of words. And you just have a little research, okay? And this is the Oxford Junior Dictionary, all right? And I found a little bit of information about some of the words over the past 4 or 5 years that have been included in the Junior Dictionary. And that's where the key is. because the junior dictionary is where the changes take place first. And as we
Yeah.
grow into the changes, then they can be taken out of the older dictionaries. So always look at the junior dictionary. If you're going to research anything, look at the Oxford Junior Dictionary. Try to find a little list of words that have been put in over the past 5 years. And the new words that are in are like blog, broadband, celebrity, dyslexia, citizenship, biodegradable, bungee jumping, Euro, of course the EU. But more interesting is some of the words that have been dropped out of that junior dictionary. And that's the one that you use at school, which means that because that dictionary is given to you to use at school, then school will also eliminate the words out of what it is you see and read. So slowly the words will go out of use.
Disappear, yeah.
Now, we're not asked which words we don't want to use anymore, but the words disappear anyway. So somebody else is in charge of that, aren't they?
They certainly are.
And they're called diction ears.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the diction ears. So let's have a look at some of the words that have been taken out over the past 4 or 5 words. You ready? Blackberry, brook, buttercup, carol, cooker. Would you believe cooker? Conquer, coronation, cracker, duke, empire, holly, ivy, mistletoe, and monarch. Now listen to those words that have been taken out. Holly, ivy, mistletoe, monarch. You see? Christmas is going, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Christmas is going. They wouldn't take them out otherwise. Have holly, ivy, mistletoe and monarch disappeared? No.
No.
So why are the words now been removed?
It's just that we're not speaking them anymore.
All I'm saying is that the words are removed at the very youngest stage. And over their lifetimes, those words will disappear. So it's not they're not in use now, and it's not they're not in use when the kids get older. But over their lifetime, and this is for juniors, so we're looking at 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Over their lifetime, in other words, in the next 70 years, they'll be gone. So it's not an elimination today, tomorrow, next week.
No.
It's not like we can't use these words anymore. It's just that they're out of the dictionary, which means they'll be out of use in one lifetime's time.
Yeah.
Or faster.
The generation game.
That's how it's done. That's how we're changed.
Yeah.
We just take away the words that mean the things that we need at the time. And because the words don't exist, you know, I mean, people say, I just want to be loved and be happy. You say, well, go on then. Make a list of the things that you need and then supply them to yourself. Oh, I never thought of that. I thought it was somebody else would help me with that. Well, everybody else is looking for the bloody same thing.
Of course they are, yeah.
Desperate, isn't it?
It certainly is.
Desperate times now. Has it always been this way?
I suppose so. It's we've said, haven't we, that, and the word descendants fits, because each when we've said this as well, each copy that we do is a paler copy of the original that it was.
Yeah, but only if we're making copies. This thing doesn't demand you to make copies.
No.
You can make better, but of course, can we make better? Because we're all technology, aren't we? Well, the future's new technology.
Yeah.
We've said many times, what job's going to exist in 2030, 2035, 2040? Well, I know one job that's going to exist. Counsellors.
Yes.
I don't think they'll be out of business anytime soon, do you?
No.
And we went, after the summer break, went to our local council meeting, didn't we?
We did last night, yeah.
you go first. You go first.
We were up for it, weren't we? We were looking forward to it.
Well, we thought we'd... there's a guy we know called Jeremy, and I've been talking to him for 4 or 5 years, and he really didn't have anything to say back to me. He thought I was a little bit nuts. But over the 4 or 5 years, he is a bit of a political animal, just local level. But he's starting to... you know, I've been thinking what you've been saying, you know, and it's making more sense as the years go by. Anyway, he's not on the council at the moment. He wants to get back on the council. Yeah. So because he's been quite nice to me, and he likes chatting, and we like going for a bit of laugh, don't we?
Yeah.
So we'll go. We'll meet you there.
Yeah, we did, and Nothing's changed, has it?
Well, a lot of people don't realise that we had a full council meeting last night. A full city council, wasn't it?
Yeah. A whole... Were it just under the hour they got through everything?
Yeah. But sat on the table in front of the mayor was something called a mace.
Yes, it was.
Now, that mace is what we would call... What would we call it? It's like a... What would we call it? It's silver. It's
actually brass. It looks gold. It's meant to look like gold. It's got a crown on the top of it.
Was it gold?
Yeah.
Was it gold?
It's meant to look... Well, it's actually brass, but it's meant to look like gold, isn't it?
My eyes are broken.
Yeah. And it's got a crown on the top of it, and then it's got the shaft on it, and then it's got the ball at the bottom of it.
It represents the Queen.
It does.
It represents the monarch.
The crown.
It
Yes.
does.
Yeah.
And sat in front of the table on the mayor in its own mountains was the mace.
Yeah.
We got there just a few minutes after it started, didn't we?
Yes.
And we were sat in downstairs, the downstairs, whatever it was, room. And it was rather cosy, wasn't it? And they were going through the usual rigmarole, but there was one particular point. Do you remember the highlight of the evening? And I hope our local newspaper reporter has got his headline sorted, because if he can write any column at all about that council meeting that he went to, our local Gazette, the Ripon Gazette, the headline should be: Ripon City Council, have we lost 300,000 or not? That's what it should. Have we lost 300,000 or not? This you couldn't make this up, could you?
You couldn't. No.
And it was all done with a straight face round the table, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Now, a gentleman of some years stood up, and he's very well respected, because he was one of the better guys, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And he said, Mr. Mayor, I'd love to bring to your attention the note that I have made here is that I would like to ask the question: did Ripon City Council receive £300,000 in the earlier part of this year
As a donation.
And he sat down, and everyone's going, "What's he on about? What's he on about?" So the mayor said, could you please elaborate a little bit? Did you have some evidence of this £300,000? And he said, well, I'm led to believe that the council received a donation of £300,000 in the earlier part of this year. And I myself am asking for the evidence, and where is it? He sat down again. The mayor was pretty confused. He said, well, where have you got the information to ask this for? Sorry, no, not the mayor. It was the chap sat next to the mayor's left, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
He stood up and he said, please may I ask, where have you got the information to ask this question for about the £300,000? This was the killer bit, wasn't it? The chap who asked the question stood up, he said, I don't like to embarrass the councillor, but it's in his own editorial from January this year. It's just a farce, wasn't it?
And no audit. It was missing out of the audit, wasn't it? So they were gonna have to spend money on getting outside auditors in to come in and
try and find it.
To try and find 300,000 quid.
It's just a bloody farce, isn't it? And also sat at the table was a convicted criminal. A convicted criminal councillor who has been convicted for stealing about 300 quid. That was the backhander money for the ice cream van on the marketplace. Now, I don't know if it's I think it was a registered donation, by the way. I'm not sure if he was licensed to it or whether it was just 300 quid that was the agreed fee for what you could sit on the marketplace and flog ice cream all year. Anyway, this 300 quid, the councillor in question stuck it in his pocket. Anyway, he got caught, he's been to court, he's been convicted.
He pleaded not guilty, didn't he?
He did, serves him right. He still was found guilty.
Yeah.
Because he did steal it.
He did steal
Everybody
it,
knew he'd stolen it before even the police knew.
Yep.
Because I knew he'd backhanded 300 quid before any charges were made.
And he was elected onto the council, wasn't he?
Anyway, they actually the council put forward a motion of no confidence in the gentleman concerned.
Yep.
And they all voted, but they regrettably couldn't remove him off the council because
No.
he hadn't been jailed for long enough.
No, that's
He only
right.
got 3 weeks. Apparently, to be removed off the council, you have to be jailed for 3 months or more.
More, yes.
He sat there, no bloody shame.
No shame whatsoever.
No bloody shame at
No,
all.
not at all.
I looked at his face, I thought, I wouldn't let you babysit my dog.
No. And the only recommendation was he wasn't allowed anywhere near the Treasury or any allowed in any financial implications within the town hall ever again. But he could still be a councillor.
And do you know what? He'll get away with it.
Isn't this just as a satellite?
It's a little microcosm.
It's a little microcosm of what goes on here in your. If anything,
have we had this 300,000 or not?
we
Because I don't know where it is. If we've had it.
Well, they didn't know. Nobody knew about it.
The number one suspect was he just started on the ice cream money.
Oh dear.
We'll have to go for the next instalment, but I actually made a point, didn't I? I'm going to film the next one.
Yeah.
Because my window cleaner, right, is also a counsellor.
Yes.
And he comes and cleans my windows on Friday. And I said, Sid, when's the next meeting? He said, Monday. And I said, I'm going to come and I'm going to film you. You can't film us. I said, I can if I want to. I said, but I have to ask first, but you can't really say no. You're not filming us. You're not coming to film us. I said, Sid, I sort of can film you, as long as I'm, not causing a disturbance, getting in the way and obstructing or ruining the meeting. So I said, I sort of can film you. We'll go into private session and I'll throw you out. So that, right, I'm having him. So I printed out the new rules, which are on my Facebook page, printed them all out, and I had the greatest delight in delivering. I said, there you go, Sid. You can't make up the rules as you go. Read that. Because we can.
Yeah.
Anyway, the secretary came across to say hello to us at the end of the evening, didn't she? Hello, thanks for coming, that sort of thing.
And there's the agenda of the meeting at the end.
Finished, yeah. Thanks for coming. And I said, I'm glad I've got time to talk. I said, I just wonder if it'd be all right to film the next session for my own personal collection. Now, I don't know what the rules are of the council, she said, but I'll have to have a look and see what the rules are. I said, luckily, I've printed them out and they're here. She said, yes, but I don't know what rules we're applying. I said, you're going to apply these rules here. These are the new rules, and any other ones that you want to apply don't count. And she said, I think I've actually got that in my drawer. I said, well, I'm not really asking you if I can. I'm asking what time can I come, and I'll set up my tripod, and we'll have the camera on, check a quick sound check, and I'll be no more bother. Well, that'll be all right then, she said, didn't she?
Yeah.
It's about time we got involved.
It is, yeah. We've said it enough times in here, haven't we? Yeah.
I mean, we can go through the rigmarole of there is such thing as a free lunch, there is such thing as a new currency we can invent, there is such thing as living in the woods and we can all live happily. No, these things are not true.
No.
Even if they are true, they're true for you, go make it happen. But don't try and sell me this reality. It's not going to be a reality that works.
And I would say to people, if you're listening on here, how long was it? An hour or so. That's all it takes. You just need to go get wash and change.
But it's quite interesting.
It's quite interesting.
I mean, we found out about Yorkshire Day.
Yeah,
which Rippin's going to hold Yorkshire Day 2018.
It was the mayor trying to get,
and that was a democratic vote where the mayor told him what they were doing.
Yes, it was his idea, and he wanted the pat on the back and the recognition for it. He said, picture in the Gazette.
He said to the gentleman, the council's concerned. He mentioned I've spoke to Mr. Metcalfe, as it were, and I've told him that we'll do it, and what we'll do is we'll have a little vote on it.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense, does it? I've told them that we'll do it and we'll have a vote on it.
But go along, just go to your next meeting and see. And I hope you get the look that we got as we walked in.
Yeah, they hate it.
The look on the faces when the public walk in is, what are you doing here?
Yeah, but these are people...
But you're allowed to go.
Well, you're encouraged to go.
You are, yeah.
That's what the government... You see, I know people listening want to paint a world of darkness. Okay, the government aren't all bad. Okay, they aren't all bad at all. Yeah, there's some nefarious, but we're told to focus on the dark. Well, the idea is that we just sit at home and focus on the dark.
Yeah.
The idea is that you think, I'm beaten. I mean, that obsolete clip that we played. Okay, listen to it again. It's designed to make you weak and feel and terrified and paranoid. And you say, my word does have power. I am somebody. So go and do something about it then. Shut your mouth and get your brain into gear.
As the clip said at the beginning, you are part of this universe. You're made out of it.
Yeah.
So stand up.
It's about time we started playing. We started getting involved.
Getting involved with it.
I'm not a player, me. So no, you're not. You're a bloody spectator,
Yeah.
and you'll pay for the show, and the show will carry on, and it'll take everything you've got. I'm sick of these tree hugging, whale saving, badger baiting idiots, right? Because they're actually cowards. That's what they are. They actually come up with excuse after excuse after excuse of can't do it. It's because they're not mobile. Mobility and nobility. don't rhyme because they're not connected. They rhyme because they are connected. Mobility and nobility is quite simply your ability to move around and the speed with which you can do it.
Yep.
And it always was, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Always was. If you're not... I mean, politics is not the answer, it's the problem. Oh, go away. Go away. When did you grow? When you could speak it back out again?
Yeah.
When did you learn? When you experienced?
And not
when
to be afraid to speak out, because...
Yeah. We were bloody fearless last night.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Don't matter who they are now.
I don't care. I mean, with Jeremy and myself and you now.
Yeah.
I mean, well all right. Can I get on the council? I'll have a bloody go.
Yeah.
I've missed my chance this time around, but there again, I'd have been stood against Jeremy. And I didn't want to stand against Jeremy because I quite like him. So it may well be that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
I don't know yet. I'm not worried about that. Do I think I'll be disruptive on the council? Yeah, I suspect I will be. Will I be popular? No, but I don't need to be popular.
No.
Be different.
Learning to ask the right questions, isn't it?
Well,
nobody dare on that table last night. Were there a dozen people?
There was
nobody asked the right question.
No,
the
all the way through we were saying
two conservatives, a couple of independents, and nobody. And we looked at each other and said, 300,000 quid. How do you lose 300,000 quid?
Well, they don't even know if they've had it.
No,
they don't even know if they've had it yet.
Exactly. And that were just us two in the audience sat watching these so-called people that are running our town.
They just tick the point and move on.
Yes, yeah.
Isn't it? What we saw last night is what these people are there for. Now, I know a few of these people. Not personally, but I know them from coming in here and spending time talking to them. And the chap was in front of us. The first thing that I wanted to say to him, who the hell voted for you?
Yeah.
You know, because I don't mean to be rude, and this chap will never be identified by what I'm going to say. He's a broken idiot.
Yeah. Oh,
he's a proper bloody idiot.
He thought it were clever by turning around saying, "Have you brought the fish suppers?"
But we're talking about this is a broken idiot who knows nothing that matters.
No, and he didn't.
Somebody's bloody voted for him.
He did exactly, and he didn't have anything to add to that meeting. He didn't speak once other than to say, "Have you brought the fish suppers?" I thought, if that's all you can bring to this round table, that
it's all titles and status, my friend.
It is.
Your local councils at this level don't get paid. They don't get free council tax. But they get the opportunity to know stuff and network.
Yes, and to thieve and get away with it.
Well, it would appear so, yeah.
It was like a den of thieves, it was.
And they actually stole from those that sat around the table.
Yeah.
No shame.
No, in fact, we're having a laugh outside where we said, Jesus kicked the money dealers out the temple. Where did they all end up? They all built town halls. That's where they all went.
Built bloody town halls. Said, move on.
Move on.
Move on. Not to see here. We're all right.
With your Corinthian columns and your arches.
What we saw last night is I'm afraid we know what local councils are. And these are people who in their lives have never run anything, not a bath, not a fruit and veg stall, and they've never run a marathon.
No.
We know these people are very inexperienced, but in their heads, pretty intelligent. And they probably are. And I'm not going to challenge it. I'm not playing trivia. I'm not playing do you know this because I know this game with nobody. Because that's just trivia. You know, so that's not what matters. It's what have you done? What have you done?
Yeah.
And we know that those people, I hate to say this because I'll be so unpopular, but I don't care. These people attend meetings to try and come up with ways to get people who don't attend meetings to do stuff
for them. Yeah.
And then what they do is, if it's all gone well, they associate themselves with the result, get the picture taken, and take all the bloody credit.
Yeah.
That's what this is all about.
Exactly.
You know?
One of them said, didn't he? He got up and said last night, I forget what it was about, but he was asking, what we need is volunteers. I thought, well, what are you lot doing here then?
And all the people around the table went... It is that simple, you know. It is that simple. And it's also... If you need a decision making, the quickest process will be 1, and the next quickest process will be 2. But if you need a decision making process with 13, 14 and 15, there'll never be a decision made.
No.
Because there'll be so many conflicting points of view.
Exactly.
And parties trying to outdo each other so they can't claim that they have a majority. Yeah. And it was us, it was the Conservatives that did it. It was the Independents that did this.
And this is our view of democracy. And walking the dogs on Saturday, and I walked into the park, and they'd just cut the grass. And
I know what you're going to say.
And I just said to my wife, I said, "They've cut this grass." I said, "Look at it, and they've left it too long. Why bother cutting it?" And then it hit me like an express train. Of course, that's what and this is what the council were doing. They were leaving the grass too long, so that they could come back and take another couple of inch off next week.
Every week. That's the idea.
Come back, yeah. And it costs you more and more money to get this grass cut. And of course, the grass doesn't get cut properly. If they cut it properly to start with, there'd be too many people out of a job.
Which comes back to the Ministry of Defence and me actually bypassing the whole system, and the guy who's in charge of our little section, whose name doesn't matter, Mike something or other. He had nothing to do.
Nothing. No.
He was actually sat there on probably the equivalent of today's money of 35, 40 grand at least.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And his job was to answer our queries.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there wasn't any. So he had nothing to do. We have to understand that this whole system is built to employ everybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the government wants to become. It wants to become God.
It does.
And if it can't find a job for you, it needs you still on the suckling.
Mm.
Okay, it needs to get you on there. The obsolete clip that we played, there's a darker side to that. And we've been saying it for months and months and months.
Mm.
I don't care what you're doing. I don't care who you are. It doesn't matter to me. But you should care.
Mm.
The people who are listening to this, you should care. If you have a wife and have children, you've got a responsibility to do that to them.
Mm.
Live your own life as you like, but don't make them live it that way as well. Education isn't up to schools.
No.
It isn't.
No, it isn't.
It isn't up to schools at all. Education is to make us uniform.
Mm.
The people, when adults vote adults to govern them, what did you think was going to happen? You've given them the position of superiority by saying, I can't or I don't want to govern myself. They're always going to pay themselves more. They're always going to strengthen their position.
Yeah.
And do you know what? The way we whinge and the way we moan and the way we carry on, it's hardly surprising that they bloody well hate us.
It's weeks like this that make me glad that I'm no longer in politics, you know, because, I mean, I remember...
Do you know, I think everyone feels the same way.
I mean, the truth is, the one thing I could not stand about being an MP were my constituents. You may loathe members of Parliament, but it is as nothing as to how we feel about you.
I think we have to accept that.
Yeah.
We have to accept that is accurate.
That's the feeling I got last night.
Yeah, we just have to look at the MPs, look at local politicians, whoever they might be, and we've got to remind them that we do not feel less than.
No.
And then we've got to act in a way that shows them that we're not
less than, yeah.
We have to learn the rules, okay, so we know them, because the chances are they don't. I think this system is not balanced at all. I think it is tipped in favour for them. But one thing I do know is that in the playground that is the life, the bullies control it. From what we can see. But the geeks control the bullies from behind the scenes. Now the geeks have to control the bullies and pay them very well, so that the police uniforms we see, they don't come and protect us from crime. They turn up after a crime has been committed. You can see who the police are designed to protect because they guard them before a crime is committed. And we have to understand that the police are not designed to serve our needs anymore.
No.
Maybe they never were. I remember watching last week, it was last weekend, I watched an ITV, it wasn't a drama, I don't really know what it was, but it was an hour of the First World War. And it was romanticising the First World War and different types of people and how they took part in it. And it was about letters that had been sent to and fro. These letters had been saved in all sorts of ways, and these letters have been brought to light, and the actual ITV Hour was about the letters. And the one thing that struck me was the naivety, the lovely way we spoke, the caring way we spoke. There was no aggression, there was no agenda, there was no ulterior motives, there was no power struggle, there was no competition. The letters were wrote in a way that was caring and kind and compassionate and understanding. And exciting as well, and romantic. I don't think, it almost made the war seem somehow good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, how things have changed. Oh, how the fight has increased. Oh, how the difficulties in communication are for us all to see, aren't they?
Mm.
We can't fix these things. But we can fix ourselves.
Yeah.
And once you fix yourself, you're off to a good start.
Yeah.
I'm currently speaking to two ladies at the moment. Two different type ladies as well. One who I think is going to have to go through the dark night of discovery.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one that doesn't even know it exists. And these are people that I just know. And it's just, everybody's different.
Yep.
It isn't for everybody, this. It just isn't.
No.
Otherwise, society wouldn't stack up as it does. If everybody knew the things that we feel are of value to us, society would be different.
Mm-hmm.
And we would provide our own needs, and we would socialise, and we would build communities, and we would actually have a working system that wouldn't really need any overall control. But of course, that doesn't work, because the geeks who can't make anything except rules, the geeks who can't do any work except pay people to do their deeds for them, we'd have to get rid of the geeks.
Mm.
We'd have to. And they're the ones that the Force guards.
Mm. Yep.
Crazy setup.
It
Or
is.
is it just a big school for fish? Till next week, thank you for listening.
Cheers.
My name's Paul.
Mine's Andy.